Listen carefully. If you're looking for another feel-good message about how everything's going to be okay, close this video now. This isn't for you. This is for men who've felt that hollow ache in their chest after pouring everything into a relationship and getting breadcrumbs in return. Men who've watched their dreams shrink while trying to keep someone else happy. Men who know something's fundamentally broken in how they approach women but can't name it. You've been sold a lie, a beautiful, seductive lie wrapped in romance novels and Hollywood endings. The lie says that loving harder, giving more, and sacrificing deeper will somehow unlock the love you deserve. That if you just find the right one, everything falls into place. That your value as a man comes from how much a woman needs you. Here's what they didn't tell you. Most women will drain your soul, not because they're evil, but because you've never learned to protect it. You walk into relationships like a lamb to slaughter, offering your essence on a silver platter, then wonder why you feel empty. You mistake emotional vampirism for love. You confuse dependency for connection. Picture this. You meet her. She's everything you wanted. Beautiful, charming, seemingly interested in your dreams. 3 months in, you're canceling plans with friends to keep her happy. 6 months in, that business idea gets shelved because she needs more attention. A year in, you don't recognize the man in the mirror. Your edge is gone. Your fire extinguished. You're a domesticated shadow of who you were. And the worst part? She's less attracted to you now than when you met. Sound familiar? That's because you never learned the fundamental law of masculine-feminine dynamics. A woman will expand to fill whatever space you fail to protect. Not from malice, from nature. Like water finding cracks in a foundation. And brother, your foundation is full of cracks. This video will teach you to seal them, to build boundaries that create attraction instead of resentment, to maintain your soul's sovereignty while still connecting deeply. But understand this, what you're about to learn will challenge everything you believe about love, relationships, and your role as a man. She is not your purpose. She never was. She never will be. The problem starts the moment you make a woman the center of your universe. You think you're being romantic, noble even. In reality, you're committing spiritual suicide. A man without purpose is a ship without a rudder. And guess what happens to rudderless ships? They get steered by whatever current is strongest. In relationships, that current is her emotions. The psychology here is primal. Women are biologically wired to test boundaries. It's not conscious manipulation, it's evolutionary programming. She needs to know you're strong enough to handle life's storms. But when you make her your purpose, you fail the test before it begins. You signal that you have nothing worth protecting, nothing worth fighting for beyond her approval, and nothing kills attraction faster than a man who lives for validation. Here's the truth most men can't stomach. A woman wants to be part of your journey, not the destination. She wants to join a man who's going somewhere meaningful, not become his only meaning. When you have a mission bigger than any relationship, you become magnetic. When she's your only mission, you become pathetic. The strategy is simple but not easy. Define your life's work. What would you build if no woman existed? What legacy would you leave if romantic love was impossible? That's your true north. Everything else, including her, orbits around this center. You invite her to join your world, but you never abandon it for hers. The transformation happens when you realize that protecting your purpose isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's what makes you attractive in the first place. The man she fell for had dreams, ambitions, fire. Don't extinguish that fire trying to keep her warm. Feed it. Let her feel its heat, but never hand her the matches. Your emotional state is your responsibility, period. Most men enter relationships as emotional beggars. You're not seeking connection, you're seeking regulation. You need her to make you feel worthy, validated, complete. You've outsourced your emotional well-being to someone who didn't sign up to be your therapist. Then you wonder why she pulls away, why the sex dries up, why she seems constantly frustrated. The psychology is brutal in its simplicity. Feminine energy is naturally chaotic, like weather patterns. It shifts, storms, calms, then storms again. Masculine energy is meant to be the mountain, steady, unmoved by the weather. But you're trying to be another weather pattern, matching her chaos with your own neediness. Two storms don't create peace, they create destruction. The truth that shatters the illusion. A woman cannot respect a man who needs her to feel whole. Respect is the foundation of desire, and desire is the lifeblood of passion. When you make her responsible for your emotional state, you become her child, not her lover. And despite what modern culture preaches, no woman dreams of sleeping with an emotional infant. The strategy requires you to build an internal fortress. Meditation isn't just for monks, it's for warriors who understand that the greatest battles happen within. Physical training isn't vanity, it's alchemy, transmuting weakness into strength. Male friendships aren't optional, they're essential pressure valves that keep you from dumping your emotional waste on her. The transformation occurs when you realize that emotional self-sufficiency isn't about becoming cold or distant, it's about becoming unshakable. When she tests you, and she will, you respond from centeredness, not reactivity. When she's in chaos, you become the calm she didn't know she needed. You love her not because you need to, but because you choose to. That's power. The moment your attention becomes unlimited, it becomes worthless. You text her constantly. You're always available. You drop everything when she calls. You think you're showing love. In reality, you're destroying attraction through inflation. Just like printing money destroys its value, unlimited attention destroys its power. You've made yourself common when she craves rare. The psychology taps into our deepest programming. Humans value what's scarce. We chase what retreats. We treasure what might be lost. But you're as predictable as sunrise, as available as air. There's no mystery, no challenge, no space for her imagination to run wild. You've killed the dance by standing still. Here's the truth that stings. Women don't fall in love with men who are always there. They fall in love with men who might leave. Not because they enjoy pain, but because tension creates passion. The possibility of loss creates appreciation. The space between you allows desire to build, but you're so terrified of losing her that you suffocate the very thing you're trying to preserve. The strategy isn't about playing games, it's about having a life. When you're building your empire, you naturally become less available. When you're pursuing excellence, you automatically create space. It's not manipulation, it's the natural consequence of being a man with priorities beyond her approval. The transformation happens when you understand that strategic distance creates magnetic pull. You learn to be fully present when you're with her, but fully engaged with life when you're not. You master the art of leaving her wanting more, not through tricks, but through the simple reality that your life is too rich to spend entirely on one person. The moment you lower your standards to keep her, you've already lost her. You started with boundaries, deal breakers, non-negotiables. Then she pushed. Maybe tears were involved, maybe threats, maybe just that disappointed look that cuts through your chest. So you bent, just this once. Then again. Now you're a pretzel, twisted into whatever shape keeps the peace, and she despises you for it. The psychology reveals an uncomfortable paradox. Women test boundaries not to break them, but to confirm they exist. Every time you cave, you fail. Every compromise of your core values signals weakness. She might get what she wants in the moment, but she loses what she needs, a man strong enough to say no to her. The truth most men refuse to accept. A woman would rather rage against your boundaries than wander in your weakness. Your standards are your spine. Without them, you're just flesh, without structure, bending to every wind. She needs to know that some parts of you are non-negotiable, that some lines won't be crossed, that some aspects of your character are carved in stone. The strategy requires you to identify your immutable laws before emotion clouds judgment. What behaviors will you never tolerate? What values will you never compromise? What standards will you maintain regardless of who you're with? Write them down, make them real, then defend them like your life depends on it because your soul does. The transformation occurs when you realize that maintaining standards isn't about controlling her, it's about controlling yourself. It's about being the same man, whether she's happy or furious, whether she's staying or leaving. Your consistency becomes her security, even when she's testing it. Peace at any price is the most expensive thing you'll ever buy. You avoid conflict like it's death itself. The moment tension rises, you retreat, apologize, placate. You think you're keeping the relationship stable. In reality, you're building a pressure cooker. Every avoided conflict, every swallowed truth, every suppressed frustration, they don't disappear. They ferment, they rot, they poison from within. The psychology of conflict avoidance stems from childhood programming. Maybe anger meant danger in your house. Maybe keeping the peace meant survival. But you're not a child anymore, and she's not your parent. Your conflict avoidance doesn't register as maturity, it registers as cowardice. Here's the truth that changes everything. Conflict is intimacy trying to happen. When done right, conflict clears the air, establishes boundaries, and creates deeper understanding. But you've been taught that conflict means failure, that disagreement means disconnection, so you choose slow death over honest confrontation. The strategy isn't about becoming combative, it's about becoming articulate. Learn to state your position without attacking. Master the art of standing firm without becoming rigid. Understand that you can disagree with her perspective while still acknowledging her feelings. This isn't about winning, it's about clarity. The transformation happens when you realize that productive conflict creates more passion than false peace ever could. The energy you've been suppressing can be transmuted into intensity. The honesty you've been avoiding can create the depth you've been craving. She doesn't need you to agree with everything, she needs you to be real. Never give more than you can afford to lose emotionally, financially, or spiritually. You give everything: money, time, energy, attention. It all flows toward her like water toward a drain. You think generosity will create gratitude. Instead, it creates expectation. What started as gifts become obligations. What began as choices become demands. You've trained her to consume without consideration. The psychology of resource management in relationships mirrors economic law. When supply is unlimited, demand becomes infinite. When you give without boundaries, she takes without appreciation. Not from greed, but from the simple human tendency to normalize abundance. You've made your resources her birthright instead of her blessing. The truth that reframes everything. A man who can't protect his resources can't protect anything else. Your money, time, and energy are finite. Every dollar spent on her whims is a dollar not invested in your future. Every hour consumed by her drama is an hour stolen from your purpose. You're not being selfish by protecting resources, you're being strategic. The strategy requires you to budget everything, not just money. How much emotional energy can you spend without depleting yourself? How much time can you invest without abandoning your mission? What percentage of your resources goes toward the relationship versus your own growth? These aren't cruel calculations, they're survival mathematics. The transformation occurs when you realize that protecting your resources makes you more valuable, not less loving. A man who maintains his wealth can provide security. A man who guards his energy can offer strength. A man who protects his time can create quality experiences. Scarcity creates value, even in love. Kill the nice guy, or watch her desire die slowly. You've been programmed to believe that being nice creates attraction, that sensitivity equals depth, that suppressing your masculine edge makes you evolved. Meanwhile, she's scrolling through romance novels about dangerous men, watching shows about vampires and warriors, fantasizing about everything you're afraid to be. The psychology of sexual polarity is electromagnetic. Masculine and feminine energies create attraction through opposition, not similarity. But you've been neutralizing your charge, becoming more feminine to match what you think she wants. You're two similar magnets pushing against each other, wondering where the attraction went. The truth modern society won't tell you. Women crave masculine energy like plants crave sunlight. Not toxic masculinity, that's just wounded boys pretending to be men. True masculine energy is grounded, directed, and unapologetically present. It takes what it wants, while giving what's needed. It leads without apology, protects without hesitation, and desires without shame. The strategy isn't about becoming a caricature, it's about reclaiming your nature. Stop asking for permission to be a man. Stop apologizing for your desire. Stop diluting your strength to make her comfortable. She doesn't want comfortable, she wants to feel the electricity that comes from genuine polarity. The transformation happens when you stop performing masculinity and start embodying it. When your presence alone changes the energy in a room. When your desire becomes a compliment, not a burden. When your strength becomes her sanctuary, not her competition. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. When problems arise, you jump into fix-it mode. When she's upset, you scramble to make it better. When tension builds, you rush to resolve it. You think you're being supportive. In reality, you're being suffocating. Your constant availability has become a prison for both of you. The psychology of strategic withdrawal taps into fundamental attachment dynamics. Humans need both connection and autonomy, but you've been offering only connection, creating a symbiotic mess where neither of you can breathe. Your constant presence has become pressure. Your immediate responses have eliminated anticipation. Here's the truth that revolutionizes relationships. Space is where desire grows, not abandonment, space. The gap between connections where imagination flourishes. The pause between texts where anticipation builds. The distance that makes coming together an event, not an expectation. The strategy requires you to master the art of purposeful absence. When conflict heats up, sometimes you need to cool down alone. When she's in chaos, sometimes she needs to find her own center. When patterns become stale, strategic withdrawal creates reset. This isn't punishment, it's medicine. The transformation occurs when you realize that withdrawal isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You learn to read the energy and respond accordingly. Sometimes engagement is needed, sometimes space is sacred. The man who knows when to step back is infinitely more powerful than the one who only knows how to lean in. Here's what we've built together, a fortress for your soul. 8 pillars that transform you from emotional beggar to sovereign king. This isn't about becoming cold, distant, or manipulative. It's about becoming whole, centered, and magnetic. You now understand that your purpose is your North Star, not her approval. That emotional self-sufficiency isn't cruelty, it's strength. That your attention is currency, to be invested wisely, not scattered carelessly. That standards aren't suggestions, they're commandments written in stone. That conflict, when done right, creates intimacy. That protecting your resources protects your future. That sexual polarity isn't optional, it's essential. That strategic withdrawal creates the space where desire breathes. This transformation won't be easy. You'll be tested. She'll push against these new boundaries, not from malice, but from instinct. Society will call you selfish. Your old programming will scream that you're doing it wrong. The comfortable cage of your former self will look tempting when the path gets hard. But here's what's waiting on the other side. A relationship where desire doesn't die, where respect runs deep, where she sees you as her rock, not her project, where you maintain your edge while creating connection, where love comes from choice, not need, where you're the same powerful man whether she's in your life or not. This isn't about winning or losing. It's about evolving or dying. Every day you spend giving your soul away is a day you'll never get back. Every moment you spend in weakness is a moment stolen from your potential. The choice is binary, transform or decay. There is no middle ground. The men who implement these shifts don't just save their relationships, they save themselves. They become the kind of men who create epic love stories because they first created epic lives. They attract instead of chase. They lead instead of follow. They love from abundance, not scarcity. Your soul is the most valuable thing you possess. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. Remember, a man who won't protect his soul has nothing worth offering.